So a C-17 is a big bird.
It is.
And you went through an incredible course. Why don't you tell us about that course that you went through with the Air Force?
Yeah, in the later end of my career, I was very fortunate to go through the Air Force Weapons School, which is similar to like the Navy Top Gun. And so the top 2% of each of their airplane categories basically get to go to the school, and they all learn together and fight together on a very large scale production. And they basically become masters of their craft. And they take that back to the units to teach everybody how to fly more tactically in warfare, and then also with inner services, how to fly with them.
Yeah, and leadership's involved there on so many different levels, and you graduated from that class. And so it's fair to say that Mr. Joe Aubert, who we are interviewing today, is a master in his craft. And then you've since retired from the Air Force and moved into, you've always been, well, I shouldn't say always, you've been a long time Delta pilot.
Correct.
And that's going to bring us to the next part of this, which is, and Aspen and Paul, I'm sure will have some questions, but you bring a very unique perspective to San Juan County and the Four Corners region, La Plata County and all that, because you actually live here, but you base and work out of Los Angeles.
That's correct.
And so tell us a little bit about that and some of the perspective you have as a Delta pilot, as someone that works in a big city, commutes there, but lives here. What are the pros and cons, or what are some of the great things that you have come to light about our community?
The best thing I love about Farmington is that it's just a very small town, a very tight-knit community. Every place I go, I see a friend, I wave and say hi. I spend more time talking to everybody at the grocery store than I do shopping at the grocery store. Just because I have friends and family and I'm catching up on things. And it's really nice. It's nice to feel a part of that.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned earlier, my friends that live in LA, they yearn for that. They yearn for that connection, and I have it every time I'm here. So the worst part about working somewhere else is I have to leave.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, that's awesome.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And I can relate to that to some degree. When you are living in a big city, you don't have that connection. And I think that's part of our human psyche is we need that community feel, that community connection. I can see why people yearn for that. And so you travel, 15 days out of the month sometimes, 10 days? Or
try to average 12 to 14 days a month gone.
Yeah. So you see that stark contrast.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What do you think this area could bring or do differently to make this area better? I mean, what are some of the things that you think need to be top priority for the Four Corners region?
Well, some of the things are already working. First off, a major shout out to Mayor Nate Duckett. Him and his team and the economic development team are just doing an amazing job in this town. And they're working on a limited resource and constraints of different politics, and they're trying to push forward to improve Farmington for the majority of the people. I feel like they have our general interest in their heart, so I really appreciate them.
Yeah.
But watching like the mayor's table and some of those podcasts, the biggest limfac is probably just transportation, whether it's rail or freeway here, so we can get sources in and out. I hope to maybe see like one of the economic development podcasts was like using our natural gas to build a fertilizer plant, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So the limfacs are having that transportation and then building that industry because we have space, but then we need to train our workforce to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And that's kind of one of the things that I think this town's always been kind of fighting.
Yeah. And we're starting to make progress there. In fact, I shared something the other day on Facebook that showed the feasibility study for the railway from Gallup to this area. And we had talked about this on a previous podcast. All of a sudden that opens up, manufacturing. It opens up more exports from this area, farmers, ranchers, natural resources. Would really be an exciting thing for this area to get a rail.
Absolutely. So with that comes money. And then with money comes time and fun, right?
Yeah.
So I think the most underutilized resource in this town is the river. I would love to see, like when I go to Moab, just everybody throws out the Moab analogy or parallel, but I can go to a business, I can rent an ATV, I can get not necessarily Moab, but I can get a raft ride. So I would love to see like in Durango how they have that mild to wild on the north end of town.
Yeah.
Where I could hop in a raft, boat down the entire river, and then have a bus pick me up, and I do it for half a day.
Yeah.
but they have that business and that infrastructure so that I can play.
Yeah.
Because if I'm making money, I want to use it, right?
Sure.
I want to enjoy this town. So I want to go out in ATVs. I want to ride the river. I want to ride the new wave that they just built that looks incredible.
Yeah.
But I need a business there that I can rent and walk right to the wave and do it. And then maybe have a boardwalk with a restaurant where I can eat or get a nice drink or something to enjoy the afternoon.
Yeah. And Durango's done an awesome job with the riverfront in the downtown area. Aspen, what do you think the difference is between Durango and Farmington? Why have they developed their river so well up there? And we're just now kind of catching up to it? Because I think that's a fair point, Joel.
Actually, I don't think the Durango River is developed that much better than Farmington. And I'll tell you why. Because whenever we're talking about the river walk, yes, obviously Durango, it's all paved and nice, but there's not restaurants on the river. There's not, things that you can do right on the river. You can do the Mild to Wild where you jump on and you go down. But if you want to sit and have lunch or a cocktail or something, you still can't do that there either. Pagosa's a little bit better where they have actually spots on the river. So I see Farmington going how Durango is, where I'm sure we're going to have it really nice at some point. Money is the biggest thing. We just don't have the funds to put towards a very expensive paved, nice river walk, but we're getting there. It's getting developed. It'll eventually be, I think, from Aztec all the way down. That's kind of what the goal is. But I think it's just the restrictions for the fire code is really what it comes down to for like restaurants on the river, because they can't get to both sides.
Yeah, interesting. Well, and I like that that you think that we're not that far behind, or they still haven't developed it. Because I go up there and I'm like, oh, they've developed all this, and that, you make a great point in the sense that they really don't have restaurants on the river in Durango, and we actually do, and we have the Gateway Museum, and we have some other things. So really, what we're lacking is the connecting of the trail system, and that's a big difference.
I think like safety is one of the things we're lacking, because certain parts of the river, like I just wouldn't walk alone in general. And then also at night, it needs to be a little bit more safe, especially in the downtown area. But I think the more it gets developed, the more that's going to come just naturally. So I think it's just the funds to be putting in. But I mean, obviously they're putting the money into, they have that wave pool. There used to be a low hanging bridge right there. And now there's a wave park. So I think Farmington's making all the right steps, and we should be an outdoor tourist hub. Absolutely. I know we don't have, a freeway, but I think that Pinion Hills connection is going to be really good too.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, and the master plan has a lot of that in the works. I mean, there's a ton of things, and connecting from Aztec all the way down to, the Berg Park area is in the plan.
Mm-hmm.
Also, as someone who has riverfront property in Aztec, though, I'm like, don't build on my.
Yeah.
I don't know if I do want it, but I don't want it as it is right now. It needs to be more developed.
Yeah, and I think a lot of owners shared that same sentiment. And Nate was saying when I was talking to him about the riverfront, a lot of owners were like, no, don't cross my land. But then when they did do that and they developed it and they secured it, it actually protected their property a little bit more and allowed for people to use it. And then I think most owners at that point were like, oh, well, this was actually a really great thing. So it's cool that you picked up on the fact that those are some of the key things that we need to do here locally. And we want to keep that community feel, because it sounds like, that's what draws a lot of people to this area. But also the lack of congestion. We don't have.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
You deal with that, right? So,
absolutely.
What's your thoughts on, development here, but also not, keeping that community feel?
That's a hard question, because we are limited by space here, right? Mm-hmm. And where we can build and where we can't build, there's kind of a housing issue with the amount of houses that we need to have based off the people we have. So it's kind of already self-constrained, and you can't build more roads with the river or the bluffs or the BLM land.
Only 94% of San Juan County is publicly held. Only 6% is privately held. So that was a tough question to answer, Joe. Yeah. And I should have worded that in a different way, but yeah, we can't just spread our wings out here. And even though we got land all around us, it's not really accessible land that we can develop per se. And so that makes it a little bit tricky.